Alessandro, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Horizon Euro Work Program 2022-2024 webinar with focus on the Mediterranean initiative. I welcome all the participants and all the intervenants, and without further ado, I would like to introduce the two opening from the UfM, the Union for the Mediterranean, and for the European Commission. Let me so give directly the floor to Giuseppe Provenzano from the Union for the Mediterranean for the opening of our webinar today.
Thank you very much, dear Alessandro. Good morning, everyone, dear Nienke, dear Heba, dear colleagues. It is truly a pleasure being here with you in this digital format, for this info day of Horizon Europe with a focus on the Mediterranean initiative. I am particularly grateful to DG Research and Innovation from the European Commission for organizing this event with the support of EURAXESS Africa and, of course, in collaboration with the Union for the Mediterranean, which I have the pleasure of representing today. This information event is particularly important for the Union for the Mediterranean, as it shows in our region the crucial role that Horizon Europe, the flagship research program of the European Commission, is playing, both at global level, but also at Mediterranean level. And for this, I'd like to thank the DG Research and Innovation, which is also the co-presidency for the research and innovation for the Union for the Mediterranean, for the paramount support that is given at global level to scientists, researchers, and innovators, specifically in our Euro-Mediterranean region. In this part of the world, in the Euro-Mediterranean area, science and knowledge exchanges have always been central for millennia, creating spaces for scientific cooperation, for exchanges between cultures and between innovators. In fact, research, innovation, science diplomacy are established tools for cooperating between the Southern Mediterranean countries and Europe, fields that the Union for the Mediterranean strongly supports as priority areas. In fact, politically, since 1995, when the Barcelona Declaration was launched, it was stated that science and technology have a significant influence on socioeconomic development of the Euro-Mediterranean region. Most recently, we are grateful for the guidance given by our two co-presidencies, the European Commission and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, that have paved the way for new actions being agreed at political level. In fact, last year, during the UfM Ministerial Conference on Research and Innovation, the UfM ministers for the field have met and endorsed new roadmaps on climate change, renewable energy, and health. This endorsement was very important for us, as it was breaking the ground for the first time in the UfM framework that has opened the way for new actions and new activities being done in a cross-cutting way on innovation, on knowledge, on skills, on careers, for the economic inclusions of Mediterranean graduates and researchers. Now that we are discussing how to transform this commitment into reality, we salute warmly the leading role taken by the DG Research and Innovation by announcing in its 2023-2024 work program the launch of a Mediterranean initiative. This is also a way of showcasing the work, the strong relationship and the sectorial work done by the UfM Secretariat and DG Research and Innovation through the UfM Regional Platform on Research and Innovation, which is aimed at reinforcing regional cooperation on research and innovation, of course. This also requires increased attention in bringing the results of research closer to our societies, to our economic system, what we call an innovation employability nexus, where the UfM is working by launching new ecosystemic analysis with the support of the German Development Cooperation. Particularly, the Union for the Mediterranean is working on supporting countries in connecting the research environment with the business sector, try to achieve a digital transition and a green transition at the same time. It is also working on developing science diplomacy, of course, with the support of our co-presidency, as a tool for Mediterranean cooperation and on developing new green competencies. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, All these ambitious goals, which were endorsed by our ministers, require working together as a single Mediterranean scientific community at the service of our region, irrespective of our origin. This requires renewed efforts for creating strong engagement with the final stakeholders and beneficiaries of research and innovation programs. And this is why information days such as this one are crucial for our work. In a time of increased uncertainties, there is a growing understanding that we cannot just act individually to tackle our challenges, but we need to come together as a region in a multi-stakeholder way as a broader Mediterranean. I thank you all for your attention and wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Giuseppe, for these words and for this opening. Let me pass the floor to my dear colleague Nienke Buisman for the opening of the commission. Nienke, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Alessandro. I was too fast. Thank you, Alessandro, and hi to everyone again. We're getting used to this all together. Hi to Giuseppe, Heba, Ahmed, and all those who are connected with us today. Indeed, I'm very happy to participate to this webinar as well, seeing so many people connected to discuss and with us about this cooperation between the European Union and the Mediterranean region in research and innovation. Some of you may have been with us already a few weeks ago in Cairo, where we officially launched the Mediterranean Initiative of Horizon Europe. And we were 500, I think, over there on the 30th of January. Not all physically present, but many of you were present. But we are very, very keen to continue working on raising awareness on this initiative, because we really, really want it to be successful, and we want to get as many researchers from the EU and the Mediterranean to bid for the calls that are currently published and that will also come next year. So, and that's what we're doing today. And yesterday we also had a session in French. Like Giuseppe, I would like to underline indeed that, of course, research and innovation are essential tools for providing sustainable solutions to global challenges. And that's why in our vision, cooperation in this area is essential to turn these challenges into mutual benefits. I would also like to take a bit of time or 1-2 minutes on focusing on the EU strategy, new strategy, or not so new anymore since 21, on the international cooperation in research and innovation, as we call it, the global approach for research and innovation, in which we commit to strengthen cooperation with the rest of the world, of course, adapting it to the evolution of the global geopolitical landscape and the EU policy priorities. We aim at promoting reciprocity, a level playing field based on common fundamental values and principles that should underpin our R&I cooperation. For example, academic freedom, gender equality, research ethics, or open science. And given the strategic priority of R&I in the EU's global partnership with the Mediterranean region, and this global approach really foresees a particular openness to countries in the region that are eager to prosper as knowledge-based economies and accelerate their sustainable and inclusive development. The European Union's relations with the Mediterranean are and will remain of crucial strategic importance, and particularly in the area we're talking about today, research and innovation. I think we can say that the cooperation between the European Union and the Mediterranean is experiencing indeed a positive momentum after years of intense work with our partners in preparing where we're heading to today. You may know that last year in June, we held the first UfM Ministerial Conference on Research and Innovation that led to a declaration, and we adopted 8 roadmaps for the cooperation in the area of health, climate change, and renewable energy. And this really has required a lot of preparation all together, including with experts from both sides. We started to work on that around 2019, and today we're really in this process of implementing these policy priorities, the roadmaps that we have prepared and agreed on together. And that's why we're so happy to share with you and to present to you this Mediterranean initiative in Horizon Europe Work Program 23-24, because it includes 37 topics, themes, or calls, as you want to call it, with a budget of around 320 million euros. And these calls all correspond to the policy priorities and the roadmaps that we have set together. You can think of, as I said, these topics are all closely linked to the roadmap, and you can think of the development of innovative and integrated renewable energy technologies, or the reduction of climate impact on activities such as fishing and aquaculture, or again, improving the reliability of alternative water resources and reducing plastic packaging pollution of the food systems. You will hear all the details from my colleague Heba Gaber, who's also with us today, and who was also key in organizing this successful launch event in Cairo on the 30th of January. Today, she will present to you all these 37 topics that we have in the work program. So indeed, Horizon Europe, which is, as you know, the EU's research and innovation framework program, with a budget for 7 years of 95 billion euros, is open to the world. But this Mediterranean initiative really pays particular attention to the cooperation of researchers and innovators between the EU and the Mediterranean. But of course, in addition to this Mediterranean initiative, there are many other things we do together. Just to mention a few examples, there are several partnerships. The most known probably is the partnership on research and innovation with Mediterranean countries called PRIMA, but there are other partnerships in climate neutral, sustainable and productive environment, for example, or the blue economy, where even at the research funding agency level, work is being done together to make sure that our researchers and innovators can work together to find solutions to the challenge that actually are the same for all of us. So let me conclude. We really believe that we need to work together to make all researchers and innovators in the EU and the Mediterranean aware of the opportunities for collaboration in the framework of Horizon Europe, in the framework of this policy dialogue and the cooperation that is so dear to our hearts. So I really hope you will enjoy today's webinars, and you will more importantly really get to the information that you're looking for. Thank you very much. I pass back the floor to Alessandro.
Thank you, Nienke. Thank you very much for this for these words. That opened very well the next session, indeed, about the overview of a little bit taking back the elements already mentioned by Nienke and Giuseppe, but a little bit in more detail, and then to give all the information about this initiative. So without no further ado, I pass the floor to my dear colleague Eva Gaber from Cairo, and the floor is yours, Eva, please.
Thank you, Alessandro. You will share the screen, or I will share the screen? You can see my screen, right? You can see my screen, right?
Yes, Eba, do you
Yes.
see, we don't see it full screen. If you want, I can share it as well, or how do you prefer?
I can. It doesn't have to be full. You can see
Okay,
the screen.
fantastic. Please go
Okay.
ahead. Yes, we do.
So, building on what Ninke and Giuseppe mentioned about the EU Mediterranean Initiative, I would like to give just a quick background on the policy dialogue behind the Mediterranean Initiative, very briefly. So this all stemmed from our cooperation in the context of the UfM Research and Innovation Platform. In the context of basically this platform brings together senior officials from the Union for the Mediterranean member states, co-chaired by the European Commission and our colleagues from the Higher Council for Science and Technology in Jordan, where we agree on priorities for our cooperation. As Ninke mentioned, we agreed on 3 priorities in the context of this platform. The most important thing is that those priorities were based on co-decision and co-ownership. We launched a survey among the UfM member states asking about the priorities for the cooperation in the context of the Mediterranean region. Those might differ from national priorities, or might countries have in terms of priorities for cooperation with other parts of the world. So this survey was basically trying to find the priorities for Euromed cooperation. And in the context of this platform, bringing together 42 member states, 27 EU member countries, and 15 non-EU member countries, in the context of the UfM, we agreed on 3 priorities, as Ninke mentioned. Those are renewable energies, health, and climate change. Stemming from the agreement on those priorities, we worked on developing roadmaps. Roadmaps are basically action plans for our cooperation. You will find those roadmaps published under the title Theories of Change and Impact Pathways on our website, the Commission website for the page for Mediterranean cooperation, and also under the UfM. Those are public documents that went through public consultation. As we said, the principle is that we work based on the principle of co-ownership and co-decision making. So the priorities were decided together, and then a group of experts from North and South were mobilized to work on the development of those roadmaps, or in simple terms, action plan. Theories of change and impact pathways is simply, again, an action plan based on defining some activities that lead to a particular output that we expect, and a particular outcome that would lead to a common goal. So in simple terms, again, it's basically the roadmaps are action plan identifying what do we need to do. What do we need to do? We have research and innovation actions, we have policy related actions, and we have capacity building actions pertaining to the 3 priorities. We have 1 roadmap for the health, 4 roadmaps pertaining to renewable energy topic, and 3 roadmaps pertaining to climate change. As you can see, I will not read the slide, the slides will be shared, but basically those are the topics under each priority that we need to focus on. I would like to highlight that the roadmaps went also through a process. They were co-developed by experts from all over the region, but they also went through a public consultation process, because again, the principle is co-ownership and co-decision. And by co-decision, we do not only mean co-decision by policymakers, but co-decision by the entire research and innovation community in the region. And this is why it was very important to launch the roadmaps for public consultation process before being adopted by the senior officials in the context of the roadmaps. I would like to highlight that the roadmap, the topics under each priority or the roadmaps are listed also in terms of priorities. So the listing 1 to 4 is based also on how we prioritize the roadmaps under each priority area. So We also accounted for the cross-cutting factors and the overlap between the 8 roadmaps or the 3 priorities. We are not looking at silos, we are not looking at each road or priority in isolation, but we are rather looking at the cross-cutting, like we are adopting a holistic approach of addressing the 3 roadmaps, the 3 priorities and the 8 roadmaps, and we are accounting for also the cross-cutting and enabling factors pertaining to the 8 roadmaps. So basically, we agreed on our priorities and how do we want to implement those priorities? Like, what do we need to do and how do we need to work on implementing them? So we answered the question, the what do we need to do, and how do we want to do it? And then we needed the political endorsement of those, political endorsement of our adopted priorities and roadmaps. So following the adoption of the roadmaps by the senior officials, the senior officials in charge of research and innovation in the UFM countries, and also by the European Commission, and in the context of the UFM, we moved to the adoption at the highest political level, where Ninke and Giuseppe mentioned the adoption of the priorities and the roadmaps at the highest political level, which was the Research and Innovation Ministerial in June of last year. So we agreed on what we want to do, and we got the roadmaps politically endorsed. But now we need to move to the implementation, meaning mobilizing the instruments, the research and innovation instruments in the region to support the implementation of the roadmaps. From the European Commission side, this is the history behind the Mediterranean Initiative. The Mediterranean Initiative, as Ninke also mentioned, is an initiative under our program Horizon Europe, aiming to support the implementation of our agreed priorities and roadmaps. So in a nutshell, Horizon Europe, for those of you, I'm sure many of the participants today might be familiar with the program, others might be the first time to hear about Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is the EU program for funding research and innovation. It is the most open research and innovation program in the world. It is the biggest research and innovation program in the world, with a budget close to 95 billion, not million, billion euros. And when we say the program is open, we mean that it's open in every sense of the word. The program is open to the participation of all countries across the globe. The program is open in a sense that it covers all types of research and innovation actions, from basic research to close to market kind of research, and also all topics, meaning if you are a researcher interested in the area of health, nanotechnology, social sciences, such as, for example, migration, there are always topics that could match your interest. So we cover all types of research, all sectors and all disciplines, and the program is open to the participation of countries across the globe. So while I would like always to highlight here that why today, yes?
Some participant asked to full screen because we need to view the full screen. If Alessandro can share the screen, what do you think?
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I was in the slide.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So yeah, Horizon Europe, as I was mentioning, is open in every sense of the word. It is open in terms of disciplines and participation from all countries in the world. It's also I always like to highlight that while this while today we are talking about the Mediterranean initiatives and calls pertaining or relevant to the agreed priorities, I always like to highlight when presenting the program that we encourage you to look also at other topics under the program and other calls where South Mediterranean countries, for the vast majority of the topics or for many of the topics, are still eligible to participate, even with no geographic targeting or flagging of the region. So if you're not necessarily in the area of renewable energy or climate change is your interest, I like to highlight that you can still explore other topics under the program. Next slide. So access to Horizon Europe funding, as I was just mentioning, some countries are eligible for automatic funding, like if the program is open, as I said, to all countries to participate, but not all countries are eligible to receive funding. Neighborhood countries, South Mediterranean countries, are eligible to participate and receive funding under the program, not under all pillars, of course, but I encourage you to look at the eligibility conditions for each particular call, but most of the calls, or if not all the calls under Pillar 2, the clusters are open for South Mediterranean countries to participate and receive funding. So the term third countries here, it means countries that are not EU countries and are not associated to the program. Associated countries are those countries that contribute to the budget of the program, such as, for example, Tunisia in the region. And third countries are those countries that are not associated to the program and are non-EU countries. So this term, if you come across it while checking out the eligibility conditions of the calls, this is what we mean by the term non-associated or third countries. As again, check the list of countries, low and middle income countries, including neighborhood countries, again, as I mentioned, are for the vast majority, I don't want to say all, but for the vast majority of the calls under the clusters are eligible to participate. So again, I encourage you to look at all the open calls and forthcoming calls. Next. As I just mentioned, that the program is largely open, even if international cooperation is not mentioned. Nevertheless, the program is an outward-oriented program, an open program. So we have many topics targeting international cooperation at large, particularly under Pillar 2, which is the pillar related to the different clusters. As you can see, Cluster 1, Health, 2, Culture, Creativity and Inclusive Society, Civil Security for Society, 4, Digital Industry and Space, 5, Climate, Energy and Mobility, and 6, Food, Biotechnology, Natural Resources and Environment. Most of the calls, not all the calls under the Mediterranean Initiative are under Cluster 5 and 6, because those are the, as we mentioned, those are the clusters related to our agreed priorities, in addition to health, of course. But the program has calls flagged for international cooperation at large, not necessarily targeting the Mediterranean region, in many topics, as you can see from this slide. This slide, basically, we try to present how far the program is open for international cooperation. Some of those topics are flagged for geographic targeting, including Mediterranean, including Africa, including other parts of the world, and also international cooperation at large without specifying a particular geographic region. For example, many of the calls targeting global challenges that we need to bring different countries to work on addressing a particular global challenge. Next. So the Mediterranean Initiative, as Dinky mentioned, this is, I tried to explain for those who never heard about Horizon Europe before, the terminology we use. So work program is basically the plan. The plan for the program runs for 7 years. So the plan for the 2 years, 2023, 2024, we call it a work program. It's the work program meaning that it's a catalog of all the calls that are currently open, that will open in the course of the coming 2 years. We have 37 topics with a budget of around 350 million euros that are relevant to cooperation with the Mediterranean region or flagged as relevant for cooperation with the Mediterranean region. Not all those calls are currently open, but you can see information about all those calls if you access the EU funding and tender portal, which is the one-stop portal that presents all the calls under Horizon Europe, not only Horizon Europe. In fact, the funding and tender portal, you will find information on all EU funding, including, for example, Erasmus Plus as well. So if you now access the portal, you will find links that you can access open calls, you can access the calls that were closed under the previous work program, and also the forthcoming calls. We encourage you to look not only at the open calls, but particularly also at the forthcoming calls, because preparing a proposal for Horizon Europe needs time to find the right partners and find the right topic, find the right partners, be engaged in preparing the proposal. So please not only look at the currently open calls, but also look at the forthcoming calls. As we mentioned, the calls are relevant to clusters 5 and 6, as will be presented throughout the course of today's webinar. Next, please. So the currently open calls or calls open by January 2023 are 22 topics, 16 in the area of climate change, health, and others, and 2 in renewable energy. I will be briefly presenting those in the coming slides. Next. Yes, so under health, we have 2 partnerships that are open to participation of Mediterranean countries. And we already had meetings with funding agencies, because partnerships are open to the co-fund actions. So they are open to, at this stage, they are open to funding agencies from South Mediterranean countries to participate. And then they can support the entities or researchers from their countries to be engaged. The first one is on personalized medicine, and the second one is on rare disease. And those are currently open. They opened in January. Next. We have 5 topics under renewable energy with different opening dates and different deadlines. And those will be presented in detail in the course of the day. Again, as you can see with the different deadlines, you have the barrier or the challenge that many of the entities in the region face are like needing enough time to find the partners and prepare for a proposal. So having this work program, or we'd like to call it the catalog or the plan for the next 2 years, or the 2023-2024, allows you enough time to prepare for applying once you find the call you are interested in. Again, going back to the openness of Horizon Europe, in principle, all legal entities are eligible to participate. So if you belong to a public entity, a private entity, a civil society organization, a university, or a research center, and you find that you have proposed a call that you are interested in, a topic that you are interested in, and you feel that you can contribute to the expected impact described in the call, please explore the possibility of finding EU partners. You need 3 EU partners or located in 3 different EU member states or associated countries to build your consortium and apply for the call. The TOA is the type of action. There are research and innovation actions, and CSAs, coordination and support action. The difference between a research and innovation action and innovation action is in the type of action and the funding itself. So a research and innovation action is the typical collaborative type of research that researchers are used to. The innovation action is more adhered towards developing new technology, new design, new process, or new service, including prototyping and demonstration. The funding of the innovation actions varies depending on the type of entity. It ranges between 70 and 100% of the funding, depending on the type of entity, and it varies between if you're a nonprofit or a profit entity. For the research and innovation action, the funding is typically 100% of the needed funding for the action. The coordination and support actions are those actions related to networking, exchange, type of activities. So they are not research and innovation actions, but rather actions needed to do some coordination in a particular sector. So those are the topics for the renewable energy, and they will be presented in more detail in the course of the day. Next, please. We have more topics, or the vast majority of the topics in the Mediterranean Initiative are related to climate change. And this is a very, very wide topic that looks at, as you can see, the degradation of ecosystems to food systems, to bio-based solution for humanitarian applications. So this is a very wide topic, again, with different opening dates and deadlines, and different, again, type of actions ranging between research and innovation actions and the innovation actions and CSAs. This is the continuation of the climate change topics. I will not get into details because, again, they will be presented later today in more detail. But again, as you can see, what I would like to highlight is that there are different type of actions, different deadlines, and wide variety of topics that we encourage you to look at in depth. Next. Those are partnerships that we also think would be interesting for Mediterranean countries, particularly the funding agencies in the South Mediterranean countries to explore. We have different partnerships pertaining or relevant to renewable energies. We talked about the ones on health. Next, please. We have also partnerships related to climate change, such as the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, Water for All, and of course, PRIMA, which is the most famous partnership in the region, the Partnership for Research and Innovation Action in the Mediterranean area. This was funded under Horizon 2020, our previous program, if you are familiar with the previous program. And if you are familiar with PRIMA, PRIMA usually launches its calls around this time of the year. PRIMA, again, is one of the partnerships in the region targeting food security and water management and the nexus. So this is one of the partnerships that is already ongoing, and we present many other partnerships that could possibly be of interest to funding agencies in the South Mediterranean region to explore joining those, including of relevant common interest, such as, for example, not only partnerships, but also missions, such as the one on restoring oceans and waters by 2030, which will support the creation of a Mediterranean lighthouse, which is, again, what we call for creating a hub for research and innovation in the Mediterranean region. We call it a lighthouse. Next. In addition to the Mediterranean Initiative, we also launched Africa Initiative 2. Africa Initiative 1 was under our previous program. This is, again, a number of topics. What we call, like, the term initiative, we use we use it to label or to name a number of topics targeting or encouraging cooperation with a particular region. So the same for the Africa Initiative. Those are a number of topics targeting cooperation with Africa. Targeting cooperation with Africa. Those are 30 topics with a budget of close to 300 million euros, aiming at fostering cooperation with Africa The same, the way we agree on priorities and how those are translated into topics, the way we work in the context of the UFM is pretty much the same how we work in the context of Africa, where at the policy level we agree on priorities. At the policy dialogue level, in that case, it is the African Union EU high-level policy dialogue on research and innovation. And the agreed priorities in the context of Africa are green transition, innovation and technology, and capacities for science. So again, this is translated into a number of topics targeting those priorities in the context of Horizon Europe. Again, topics are available on the EU funding and tender portal, and there is an overlap between the Africa Initiative and the Mediterranean Initiative in terms of the topics, because of course, North Africa is part of Africa and also part of the Mediterranean. So we again encourage you to look at the EU funding and tender portal and to explore Africa Initiative 2. We call it Africa Initiative 2 because, as I mentioned, there was an Africa Initiative 1 under the first work program of Horizon Europe, which was 2021-2022 in the previous 2 years. Next. The Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, I will not be talking about because my colleague Suhail Luca will explain into details. But again, this is a pillar of the program that is very, very popular in the region, particularly the instrument focusing on research and innovation staff exchange scheme. This is very popular in the region. And it's also open to one of the very few instruments that is open to individual researchers to apply and not necessarily legal entities. But my colleague Suhail Luca is the expert in Marie Curie and he will present it in detail. Those are the links to what we presented if you want more information on our cooperation with Africa, the high-level policy dialogue, and how we agree on our priorities, the fact sheets, the Horizon Europe website, and particularly the Horizon Europe funding and tender portal, which is the one-stop for all EU funding and opportunities, including not only grants, but also tenders, and not only Horizon Europe, but all EU programs. You can browse the portal and search using different keywords, including geographically, or you can browse by program, and under the program you can browse the different pillars and do filtering to find the calls that you are interested in. One very good important resource is the National Contact Points, the NCP's portal. On the NCP's portal, under the Funding and Tender portal, you can find the links to the National Contact Points. Those are knowledge multipliers that are nominated in each and every country, including EU member states and non-EU member states. You will find two drop lists. You will find a drop list listing all EU member states where you can, for example, click on Spain, and then you will find the national contact points related to the different pillars under the program. So if you're, for example, interested in a particular topic in renewable energy, you will be able to contact the national contact point, let's say in Spain or France or Germany. That is the national contact point for cluster 5 in France or Spain, and perhaps seek their support to find partners in that particular country. Following the drop list of EU member states, you will find another drop list for non-EU member states. So you will be able to find the national contact points in your country. If you're from Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, you will also be able to find the national contact points in your country. And those are the knowledge multipliers nominated by the national authorities in your country to support spreading information, raising awareness about the program, and supporting you to try to apply for the program. With that, I end my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Alessandro, you have no audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for this inconvenient. Yes, I was saying thank you very much, Eba, for this clear and comprehensive presentation, and we can open the floor for the question. I don't know if I see directly the hand raises. Maybe Ahmed, you can help me on that. But I see that there are, okay, I see the ends. So Mr. Mahmoud Verfalli, please, the floor is yours. Mr. Mahmoud? I don't hear.
Hello.
Hello?
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Hello.
Hello. Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Please, Mr. Verfalli, can you?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the lovely presentations from all organizers and Ms. Heba. I'm a clinical epidemiologist and clinical researcher from Libya, the University of Benghazi. And I'm scientific researcher with the Authority of Scientific Research in Libya. So I'm wondering, my question is regarding to the initiatives. We have many issues regarding to in health. I'm associate professor in medicine and clinical epidemiologist. So, and my interest in integrated disease surveillance program, especially with those prevention control of coronavirus. So I'm wondering if I'm working with my students actually, with the master students, for proposals for like developing of integrating disease surveillance program in Libya, and it might be expanded to the Mediterranean countries. As you know, Libya is one of the Mediterranean countries and North African countries. Because you know we got a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and this is what we have learned from the corona problems and corona pandemics. For example, we need to develop a system that will help us to quick response. As you know, this is the effective disease control relies on effective response system, and effective response system rely on the effective disease surveillance. So I'm really appreciate your advice and your support enhancement to develop this system of this program, and we can expand and scaling up to include all the Mediterranean and with open channels and for cooperation with the other Mediterranean European countries such Italy and Spain. And this will have very good benefits in terms of detecting early warning signals of embedding the outbreaks and provide essential data to monitoring progress and ongoing disease control program, and also to help allocate health resources and more efficiently, especially in the Mediterranean regions, and also to take decision based on data. And this is what we like. So I saw the first items or the first topics, and I would appreciate it if we could have your advocacy and consultation and support to implement this program, firstly in Libya and to be expanded to other Mediterranean and European countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Westphali. I think we may take a couple of questions, Eba, if you agree with. So, Mr. Fezzani.
Hello.
Hello.
I would like to thank you for your presentation. I am a researcher from Tunisia. I'm working now in the field of wastewater and energy production from food release, and I'm in the field of experiment and modeling the systems of production of biogas from waste, organic waste, and taking advantage of a new theory in deep learning and machine learning in prediction of biogas from waste. I would like to ask a question about how to take advantage of the collaboration with European university in the field of environmental field and bioenergy from waste.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have here Mr. Guizzani, and then maybe I leave the floor to my colleague Eba to give us some input.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much
everybody.
for. It's me.
Sorry. Please go ahead.
Okay. So you're talking about me, Gizeni.
Yes.
Okay. So I am Karam Gizeni, obviously not a Mr. And I would like to thank you very much for this nice introductions. And I would like also to thank Heba for giving us a very interesting presentation. I have noted with great interest that there are some values of shared ownerships and shared benefits, etc. That makes it more interesting for us to be part of the program. And I also noted that with good. It's good to know that the Mediterranean initiative and the African initiative overlap, and this places Tunisia better into its Mediterranean and African dimension. And as you know, Tunisia is an associated country, and we are quite keen to use or to address, make use of a good use of the funds that are proposed and in a competitive way. So I am basically working on infectious diseases at the Institut Pasteur de Tunis. And my question was about the health topics that were presented. What do they encompass really in terms of diseases? Will it be only non-communicable diseases, or will it be open also to include infectious diseases and mainly also neglected infectious diseases? That was one of the questions, and the other one was, will there be other calls besides the two ones that are already open since January? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Eba, maybe I give you the floor to start with these three questions. Thank you, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Alessandro. I would first like to clarify or go back to one thing that I mentioned, is that while today we are presenting the Mediterranean initiative, I go back to the fact that the program is in principle open. So if you cannot find a particular topic that is that matches your interest under the Mediterranean Initiative, it does not mean that you cannot find it under the other pillars. So my answer actually to the three questions is to carefully examine the funding and tender portal, select the program Horizon Europe, and find a topic that matches your interest. That topic could be under the Mediterranean Initiative, which is flagged for as relevant for cooperation with the Mediterranean, or cooperation with the Mediterranean is encouraged, but that does not mean that if you find the topic of interest to you under any other cluster, that you cannot go ahead and apply for that topic. As I said, you can examine now the currently open calls and the forthcoming calls. And I always like to mention that you would know better as a researcher. If you browse the topics, you would know better, of course, if that topic matches your interest, or you can contribute to the expected impact of that topic. One thing is also important is to look carefully into what your project or your idea is about. Is it a research and innovation action? Is it an innovation action? Or you are a funding agency looking to be engaged in a co-fund or a coordination and support action? You belong to a certain network, or for example, you belong to a research center or a university where you want to be part of a doctoral network, for example. So you might want to even look at the opportunities under Marie Curie, where you want to bring grad students to work with you. Or if it's not any of this and you want to, for example, create a new center for a particular activity, a center for entrepreneurship or a new degree, then you might even examine Erasmus+. So it's very important to find the right topic. Today we are presenting the Mediterranean Initiative because we want to raise awareness about this big initiative that stemmed from 2 years of very extensive work with the UfM to identify priorities and have the topics focusing on renewable energy, climate change, and opening the co-funds to Mediterranean countries, the funding agencies, to be part of this. But that does not mean that I cannot know that if you are interested in a particular topic under health, that it would necessarily be under one of the topics under the Mediterranean Initiative. But I encourage you to examine the topics we presented, and also beyond that, because as an entity from Tunisia, for example, you are interested to participate in all pillars under the program, the 3 pillars and the 6 clusters under pillar 2. So examine the Mediterranean Initiative and also examine beyond the Mediterranean Initiative until you find a call that precisely matches your interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiba.
Sorry, you didn't answer my question actually.
I'm sorry.
You haven't responded to my questions, to answer my questions.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't follow that one.
No, I heard the question. You were.
What was my question?
Can you repeat your question just to make sure how I did not answer? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was talking about this. This is Initiative Africa. I mean, the Mediterranean Initiative. So it includes apparently many countries in the Mediterraneans. So my questions is regarding to the fundings, because there are many organizations which is working now currently in the proposals, and this, like for example, the authority, the high authority. Sorry, excuse me. Can I finish? So how you will? Just the role of the advocacy and for the Mediterranean initiatives and help those researchers as you know, in terms of lack of logistics and communications. So for example, I just heard this meeting is sudden, so we didn't have information, a lot of information about like the horizon Europe, and because of maybe the situation, loss of communication in Libya and other maybe other countries. So my question is how to open the channels for between working collaboration between researcher, Mediterranean researcher, and the Mediterranean Initiative Mediterraneans, and generally speaking, the Horizontal Europe. Is there any channels working there? I mean, for the advocacy, for the looking for the proposals and for the collaborations. So this is my question, because that actually it's very essential, crucial, and yeah, because as I told you, this email is dropped of my. I mean, I have received this email just from my friend, and we didn't have enough information. And I believe this is a very good opportunity for research from the Mediterranean, especially Libya and other countries, to cooperate.
Sorry to intervene. Sorry to cut you, Mr. Verfali. I totally understand the question, and we are very happy to answer. But as mentioned by someone in the chat, could we try to keep the question clear and concise, indeed, because this is more like an individual experience that we are happy to respond also in bilateral with per email. So please, I give the floor to Eba to give some input on that question, and then I think I suggest we go ahead with some other question. Please, Eva.
No, I apologize for missing the precise question. As I mentioned during my presentation, we have the network of national contact points. In Libya, we have a very strong network of national contact points. At the ministry, we have Dr. Nabil, Dr. Aisha Al-Garboua. You have a full network of national contact points that we provide them with information about info days like today, and they were also invited to the launch event of the Mediterranean event in Cairo. We send regular information to the national network of national contact points. Those are our knowledge multipliers in the country, and Libya particularly has a network of very active national contact points. But we also you can always follow the website of EURAXESS Africa and Horizon Europe website for info days, whether targeting the Africa, targeting the Mediterranean, or presenting information about the clusters at large. You can also communicate directly with the national contact points in EU countries, where you will find information. The portal of national contact points is a wealth of knowledge, where you can actually, I think you mentioned that you were looking for partners, for example, in Spain or Italy, if I got it right. You can contact the national contact points in those countries through the portal, communicate with them, explore finding partners in the areas of interest. So I hope I answered the question, but I'm also happy to provide further information bilaterally, of course.
Thank you, Eba. I think I will get the last question from Dr. Ali Airjash. And I see that there are also some questions in the chat, but just to respond to a couple of them that are very straightforward myself, about the sharing of the slide. Of course, this will be provided, all the contents. Some of the slides, as mentioned by Eba, contain also a useful link. If those links do not work, please let us know. But the list of the countries that are eligible for direct funding is also available on our website. And there is a question also about difference between the research innovation action and innovation actions that was mentioned by Eba, but then later, if there is some time, maybe we can come back into that. Please, Dr. Ali Arjash, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much for all. I am Deputy Minister of Higher Education in Republic of Yemen, legitimate governance. You know, our country in a special case. It's in war about 10 years. So we hope you can advise us and help us and give us special as a special case country. This is my first note. The second, we need to nominate a focal point in our country. So what can we do? Please help us, Dr. Heba. And I know Dr. Heba. I have met him or her in Egypt. The third one, please, could you send the presentations to see more details in your presentations? Thank you very much. This is my notes and question. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Indeed, the slide will be shared, and I will personally take contact back to you for the national contact points, because I am also responsible for the Gulf countries cooperation. So it's a very good occasion to meet you, and I will get back to you. I will revert to you about this national contact point with all the information. Thank you very much for intervening here in this meeting. And now, if you allow me, I would like to give the floor in the agenda to close this question and answer session, to give the floor to my colleague Sohail Luca from the DG Education and Culture, and to present us briefly about the research, training, career, and mobility, in particularly the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action. Sohail, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandro, and good morning, dear participants, and greetings from Brussels and Belgium. I will try to share my slides now, and if I fail, then I'm sure Alessandro will help me. So let's see now. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I was greatly helped by the excellent intervention of my dear colleague, Dr. Heba, because it will be a basis for several of the aspects that I will mention. As you saw, through the work of the Union for the Mediterranean with DG Research and Innovation in the past 2 years, the work has focused now on 3 priorities, thematic priorities of health, climate change, and renewable energy. And of course, the question comes, the researchers and the innovators that will actually do this research in the 3 topics, are they ready to perform their work in this research and innovation? And that's why the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, which take care of researchers' training, mobility, and career development, has been going hand in hand with the development and most of all the implementation of these 3 priorities. And in the coming, let's say, 10 minutes or so, I will give you a brief idea on what is available in these actions. Now, you will see this slide that you've seen many times so far, just to show you where does the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, where is it located in the architecture of Horizon Europe. And as you know, Horizon Europe is the 7-year budget for research and innovation that started in 2021 and will be with us until 2027. The one before, which I will refer to later in my presentation, was called Horizon 2020, and it went from 2014 to 2020. So you got familiarized with Pillar 2, which has the thematic topics, while we are in the excellent science pillar, which actually does not specify a specific topic or a subject. Within that topic, we are allocated 6.6 billion euros for the duration of Horizon Europe. And just to tell you right away, all of these actions are completely open to non-European countries as well. We have 5 different actions that I will describe later in the presentation, but just to give you an idea, the doctoral networks, and this takes care at the end of researchers who are doing their doctorates, so they don't have a doctoral degree yet, the postdoctoral fellowships, and staff exchanges, which is exchanges among countries of all people involved in research. And I will explain it more, of course, afterwards. And the co-fund is for organizations that are already supporting the mobility and training and career development of researchers, where we can join hands and co-fund these actions to make them bigger together. And MSCA and citizens, it's more of a public engagement and a communication action. Now, 2 years ago, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions celebrated its 25th anniversary. And throughout these years, it developed its character and its principles. And one of these principles is that it is not just a mobility program. It is a program to train researchers on the modern way of doing research, innovation, and science, and also to look into their skills and future career development as well. It is based on excellence, which meaning we call it bottom-up program, meaning that you can be doing any topic of research and any field of research, from biology to physics to social sciences, sociology, anthropology, history, any topic. It emphasizes a lot, international mobility, but also the intersectoral, which means between academics and non-academics, but also interdisciplinary mobility. And the last thing I want to mention is that we emphasize a lot the collaboration with non-academia, which of course include the industry and the small and medium enterprises. In the previous framework program, which was called Horizon 2020, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions supported more than 65,000 researchers, including 25,000 doctoral candidates. And it's important to let you know in this context that almost 40% of the researchers were from outside the EU. So it is a hugely international program. I would also like to highlight the number of companies supported, which were about 4,500 companies from the industry. Now, to explain the different actions for you, I think we need to talk about some terminology. Terminology that is basically an interpretation of our rules and our legal rules. So the way we define the world, and many of you will know this already, you have the EU member states that are currently 27. You have countries that chose and managed to be associated to the Horizon Europe program. And currently, there are 16 associated countries. And from the South Mediterranean, the 3 are Israel, Tunisia, and Turkey. And for the purpose of most applications, the associated countries are treated like EU member states. And then you have the third countries, which is the non-EU non-associated countries of the world. Another piece of terminology is the distinction between beneficiary partner and associated partner. Associated partner not to be confused with associated countries. So associated partner, this is a partner in a project that is funded by Horizon Europe. So the beneficiary is the one who signs the grant agreement and receives directly the funding. The associated partner does not receive funding directly, but can receive it indirectly through the beneficiary. And finally, we make the distinction between an organization and a person, an individual researcher. So some actions, it is the organization you work in, the university, the research institute, or the company that make the application, while in other areas, it is the person, the researcher, that apply. For the participation of non-EU countries, and here we say, non-EU, non-associated, when it is an organization applying for an action in a consortium, as a beneficiary, if the country is low to medium income, they can become beneficiary in doctoral networks, and they can become associated in any other action. For the staff exchanges, postdoctoral fellowships, co-fund, they can only be associated partners, and no worries, all of these actions I am going to explain in the coming slides. For persons, individuals, if you are a doctoral candidate or if you are somebody looking for a postdoctoral fellowship, you can be from any country. There is no nationality restrictions. For doctoral networks, that's the first action I will explain, and it's actually the biggest with budget. It's 50% of the budget of the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. The most important distinction to tell you at the beginning here that these doctoral fellowships are, they start with an application to the EU by organizations that get together, universities, industry, research centers, charities, NGOs, they agree together to form a consortium, and they apply together to the EU to get a doctoral network. And once they are funded, then they get the funding from the EU, and it's them who advertise on the internet, at least on EURAXESS website, the doctoral positions. So these programs, the project itself would last for 4 years and 5 years in the case of joint doctorates. And the fellowships itself they offer are of a maximum of 36 months, that is 3 years. And the consortium composition that applies for these doctoral networks has to be a minimum of 3 organizations in 3 different EU member states or associated countries, with at least 1 in a member state. This is the minimum, 3 organizations. However, usually they are bigger than this. The average size of a consortium of a doctoral network is usually maybe 8 organizations from different countries. The next action is the postdoctoral fellowships. And we have 2 types of postdoctoral fellowships. That is when somebody wants to apply for a postdoctoral fellowship inside Europe. So which means that it can be a non-European from any country in the world that wants to do a postdoctoral fellowship in Europe, or it can be a European person wanting to do a postdoctoral fellowship within Europe. That is like going from Spain to France, for instance. The second type is the global fellowship. That is European, EU, or associated country, or permanent residents from the EU who want to go outside Europe. So that is like somebody, working in France and wants to do a postdoctoral fellowship in Morocco, for instance. For both types, we offer the possibility at the end of the fellowship of giving you extra 6 months of fellowship if you go and work in the non-academic sector for 6 months. This is in order to encourage, for instance, if you developed some discovery or a technique or something during your fellowship, that you can go for 6 months to a company maybe and try to apply this and have this, ready for commercialization, for instance. The third type is the staff exchanges program. And this is also applied for by a consortium of organizations. And once they are successful, the EU gives them for a period of 4 years a certain budget to allow permanent exchange of staff, continuous exchange of staff for 4 years, for periods that range from 1 to 12 months. And the interesting aspect of this program, unlike the others, that it's not only limited to researchers. So this research staff exchange can be doctoral students, doctoral candidates, can be postdoctoral fellows, but also they can be laboratory technicians, they can be administrators, they can be management persons from the universities. So anybody who is connected to research can be part of these programs. And finally, there is the co-fund program. And here, when there is an organization in an EU or associated country that already has a fellowship program, then the EU can add additional fund and make this program bigger and more effective. But the country that the organization that applies for it has to be from a country that is either EU or associated country to Horizon Europe, such as, for instance, Tunisia. For the calendar for the upcoming calls in the 2023 call work program, you have the timetable here and the budget. And of course, no need for me to mention them since you are going to get these slides. And for the coming 4 or 5 slides are all resources and links that would help you find further information when you get the slides. And with this, I am done with the part of presenting, and I will now try to stop sharing, and will be, of course, very happy to take any of your questions. Yeah, I think I stopped sharing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Suhail. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So let me give the floor to Ahmed Malel, which we thank very much for all the help also organizing this webinar, representative of EURAXESS Africa. And please, the floor is yours with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Alessandro. So I'm very happy to present you EURAXESS Africa and all services given by EURAXESS Worldwide. First of all, I will present EURAXESS Worldwide. EURAXESS Worldwide is an initiative of the European Commission established with the aim to provide free access to information about research in Europe, opportunities for research funding, and international collaboration and transnational mobility. It links researchers in worldwide to Europe. Furthermore, the network is open to all nationalities and research fields. So for EURAXESS Worldwide, we are in North America, we are in Latin America and Caribbean, India, China, Asia, Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and finally we are in Africa. And the main tasks of EURAXESS Africa. First of all, management and development of the EURAXESS Africa network. This is through building partnerships with African research institutions and organizations, promoting research mobility between Africa and Europe, and support for African researchers, providing information, advice, assistance to African researchers, and supporting the career development of African researchers who are already working in Europe, and promoting European research opportunities in Africa, raising awareness of European research opportunities, supporting the participation of African researchers and organizations in Horizon Europe, in Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and actually in Africa Initiative 2, and also in the Mediterranean Initiative. And finally, reinforce the networking with all LNI African actors. And this is through organizing events, online events, physical events, and many activities that promote networking and collaboration, and facilitating the exchange of information and expertise between the two regions. You can see here the website of EURAXESS, that if you can put in Google EURAXESS, you will see after the platform of EURAXESS, and you can see here the 9 hubs of EURAXESS worldwide, and there is Africa. If you can see, you can click on Africa, you can sign up for a free membership to EURAXESS Africa to get all information in real time, get all opportunities given by European Commission to all researchers. There is an overview of 2020, and there is a the first year of launch of EURAXESS Africa. There is year full of challenging, because we have organized and participate in many events, online events, physical events in South Africa, in Kenya, Ethiopia, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Senegal, Libya, Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, Rwanda. And for this year, we will organize for the first time the event called EURAXESS Africa Days, and it will be through info session and practical workshop about how to draft a proposal in Pillar 1 and how to be partner in some consortium in Horizon Europe projects. Some photos about our activities in 2022 in Morocco, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, in Cape Town, in Egypt, in Shams University, Nile University. And here there is the last event when the launch of Mediterranean Initiative in Cairo in 13 January. What can we do for you? First of all, promote EU national research landscape, promote EU funding opportunities, promote EURAXESS network, invite speakers from the network, and connect researchers with research labs. And how can we work together? First of all, invite us to present in your bilateral events. If you have scientific events in your universities or in your laboratories, don't hesitate, please. You can invite us, and you can present all opportunities given by European Commission and given by EURAXESS Africa. Forward us requests about EU funding to go to your countries, and finally tell us how can we support you further. Our tools are mainly the website. There is the main tool for us, EURAXESS Africa. We in social media also, flash notes, newsletter, info sessions, and practical workshops. And you can see here, if you can click on EURAXESS Africa, you can see all opportunities given to researchers, such PhD positions, such postdoctoral fellowships already available. And every day we add opportunities in the website. And you can also participate in all events for free, and you can watch the recording video for all events, and you can also download all slides and all presentations in these events. For EURAXESS portal in general, we have plus than 2 million visitors per year and 1.2 million page views per month, and there is free use. For example, here we can see in 2021 more than 93,000 research positions already published in the website. So join us, be informed, be proactive, click on this button and join our community of researchers. We are in Facebook, in Twitter, in LinkedIn, and our email is africa@euraxess.net, free, easy, and valuable. So thank you for your attention. And Alessandro, I will give you the floor.
Thank you, Ahmed, for this very comprehensive presentation on the EURAXESS Africa activities. And now I open the floor for the question. I see some hands still on, but I think are from before, unless I'm mistaken. I see a new one is Faisal Kowi. Please, the floor is yours to start.
Okay, thank you very much. I would first like to thank the organizers for this interesting meeting, especially Dr. Hiba for her nice presentation, and Dr. Suhail for his very clear presentation. I have just one simple question. I would like to know if the program called EURAXESS, the program of collaboration between France and the North Africa, it can be co-funded by your program.
Okay, thank you. Very precise question. If you agree with me, Sohail and Ahmed, maybe we can collect a couple of questions and then readdress it to you. I have Mr. Belgasim.
Yes, thank you very much for this event and for this full of information. I have two questions. The first one regarding to the Marie Curie Fellowship Program. My question is, we have a good network with some UK. First of all, I am from the Libyan Authority of Scientific Research from Libya. We have a good communication network and collaboration with UK research institutions. My question is, could we still consider the UK institutions as a EU organizations to apply for these fellowships? My second question is regarding to the Marie Curie fellowships. Are there any age limits for the researchers to apply? Or are there any limits, for example, for the period between when we finish PhD until the application, if I can present my question correctly? And again, thank you very much for this event, and I'm happy to follow you in your future events as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this very interesting and useful questions. I have also Mr. Gedira. No. Mr. Gedira, can you, are you with us? Otherwise, I give the floor to Mr. Zarfi Abdelwahid, please.
Now, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Alessandro. I want to thank Dr. Suhail and also Dr. Ahmed for your presentation. I am Abdelwahid Zarfi. I am the national contact point of Morocco. I want to ask you some questions yesterday, but maybe I had a problem in my micro. I want to ask a question about the Marie Curie program. The Marie Curie program, as you know, was present in all programs, SG 2020 and also P7. And most participation in the European program coming from the Marie Curie. Marie Curie, for example, for Morocco, we have more than 50% funded project coming from the Marie Curie program. But the problem, when we visit the website of the European Commission to have some information about the participation of Morocco, we funded just the number of the project, but we haven't any idea about the budget allocated to this program. I don't know if this question we can have the information from the European Commission or from the coordinators of the project. We have this program in Morocco to evaluate all Moroccan participation. The second question is to how, for example, because in Morocco and also for the other countries, we have the national contact point of this thematic, but we haven't any idea about the European network in this program to discuss with him, to send to him some requests about the Moroccan researchers in objective to involve him in some consortium in Europe. I don't know if is there any network, European network concerning this Marie Curie program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, maybe I can give you back the floor. Sohail Ahmed, who want to start first with the different questions that we received. Sohail, you are muted.
I'll be happy to start. I'll try to be brief, and then Ahmed can compliment me afterwards. So the first question, from Mr. Faisal Ghoui, I think it was about a program in France, and if this program can participate into co-funding. I did not catch the name of the program, and I probably won't be familiar with it, but if it is a program that is funding, it's a funding program for researchers' career training and mobility, then this entity can apply for co-fund. For the two questions of Mr. Pilgasim, the one is, can you collaborate with the United Kingdom? Can you still collaborate with the United Kingdom? And if UK would still be considered as EU? The answer is that no, UK can no longer be considered as EU. However, for a consortium, once the minimum required is formed, that is, if you have a consortium that has 3 countries from the EU or associated countries, on top of this, you can have the UK and you can have Libya as associated countries, and you become part of the consortium and you continue collaborating. On your second question about age limit, is there age limit? There is not age limit per se, but for postdoctoral fellowships, and only for postdoctoral fellowships, to apply, you must not have more than 8 years between getting your doctoral degree and applying. So it's within 8 years after getting your PhD that you can apply for postdoctoral fellowships. For the rest, there is no time limit. And then for the question of Mr. Zarfi, the two questions, the first one is, if I understood it correctly, is having ways of having access to statistics about the participation of Morocco. And I think that since I think Mr. Zarfi mentioned that he is the national contact point, so which means that this can be taken, of course, easily bilaterally with your, the coordination of the national contact points in Brussels, and they can easily send you the needed statistics and quickly as well. The second question is about access to networks, but I didn't understand it clearly, this question of what kind of networks is needed.
Alessandro?
Yes, please, Ahmed, if you want to complement.
No. Just for me, there are no specific questions for EURAXESS. But as a reminder, you need to connect to EURAXESS website. You will receive all useful information about mobility, research mobility programs, about events, about practical workshops, and all useful information. That's for me.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that at this point we can, if you allow me, pass to the close the question and answer. We are running a little bit late in schedule. I hear a voice. There is. It's Zarfi. Abdelawid, please. Yes.
To clarify my question. About the statistic on the Marie Curie program, we have the statistic, we have the number of projects funded, but we haven't any information about the budget allocated to the Moroccan teams. This is my question. We have the statistic about the budget allocated for other programs, but the Marie Curie program, we haven't any information about the budget allocated to the project. This is the first question. The second question, is there any European network on Marie Curie program? We have the information about the some network in other clusters, but Marie Curie, we haven't any information. Is there any European program network in European level in objective to involve researchers and also the researchers from the south to participate in the meeting in objective to fund some call for project and to involve the research from the south to the consortium project in this program? Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Sohail, we can't hear you because the mic.
Yeah, so I think it's for me again. So thank you for clarifying, Mr. Zarfi. So on the first question, yeah, indeed for most of the South Mediterranean, the system right now for the previous framework program, we don't see the budget right away, and because for non-associated, non-European countries, they don't get the budget from the project itself, except for particular cases, but they get it from the beneficiary after the project had started. And that's why we don't have this information in the system. On the networks, for two of the actions of Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, which is the doctoral networks and the staff exchange, they are only in the form of networks with Europe. So they are European networks, and they actually can only exist as the form of a network. Yeah, I hope this addresses your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sohail. Thank you. And please, of course, do not hesitate all to address further question to the colleagues also in bilateral. So now allow me to step in the next session related to the focus on the two clusters that are part of our Mediterranean initiative, mainly part of our Mediterranean initiative, the cluster 5 and 6 on climate, energy, and mobility, and on food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agricultural, and environment. And let me give the floor to our first intervenant, Mr. Benjamin Vinayer from France. Benjamin, the floor is yours. I see already that you have the presentation on screen. Benjamin, we can hear you. Oh, yeah. No. just change the source of the microphone. It happened to me before, but if you go on the bottom left, there should be you can select the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, now it works.
Ah, it's fine. Okay. No,
Yes,
it was
yeah, now
already
it
well
works.
selected. It was well
Okay,
selected. I
good.
just unplug it again, and it worked.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so as we are a bit late, I will just move on. So I'm Benjamin Villiger from France. I work as a NCP for Cluster 5, Climate, Energy and Mobility for the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. Just before I forget, there was a question about the program PHC, Uber-Curien. The person who asked the question can come back to me, and I will answer questions about this French program if necessary. So about very quickly, you know this graph already. It's just to contextualize a little bit where we are. So I will be presenting the topics on climate, energy and mobility, which are part of the second pillar of Horizon Europe. Just to give you an idea about broad figures, Horizon Europe is about 100 billion euros. For the duration of the program. Pillar 2 is about 50 billion euros. And what we call cluster 5, so the fifth chapter in pillar 2 is about 15 billion euros. So just to come back to it, I know that we already talked a lot about international cooperation, but I think it's very important. The message was already given, but allow me to say it again. Horizon Europe is by default open to all countries in the world. So all the countries can participate in Horizon Europe, but only some countries are eligible to EU funding. And this is actually the most important point. Who are the countries that are eligible to EU funding? There are the countries that are associated to the program. You have a list which is written, and you have a few countries that are currently negotiating their accession to Horizon Europe. Also, and this is maybe probably the most relevant for you, all the countries that are part of what we call low and middle income countries are automatically eligible to EU funding, meaning all the countries from the Mediterranean region and the countries in Africa are eligible to EU funding. All the other countries that would be from developed countries and which are not associated to the program are not eligible to EU funding. For cluster 5, so the topics on climate, energy and mobility, as you can see, we have a lot of topics, around 200 topics for 2023, 2024. This is the current work program on which we are working right now. And out of them, 38 topics are specifically targeted to international cooperation. And again, this was said, but I think it's important to say it again. The countries, all the countries can participate to any of cluster 5 topics. So you can really work with European partners to be included in a consortium working on any topic. The 38 topics that are really labeled for international cooperation, it just means that for these topics, the European Commission thought that the international cooperation should be encouraged because it was essential or very important for this specific topic. So the message is, don't look at only those topics, look at all the topics, but obviously these topics are, that give you a plus, that will give some additional points if the consortium includes partners from other third countries. So this is how cluster 5 is divided. Cluster 5 is divided in 6 sub chapters, what we call destination in the European jargon, in the European wording. Destination 1 is related to climate sciences. Destination 2 is related to cross-sectoral solutions, and it actually focuses very much on building a competitive and sustainable European battery value chain. So this is the main aspect of Destination 2 today. Destinations 3 and 4 focus on energy topics with the production of energy. This is Destination 3, and the use of energy, Destination 4, and it focuses very much on the use of energy for the building stock. And then you have Destinations 5 and 6, which are related to transport. Destination 5 focuses on all transport modes, while Destination 6 focuses more on transversal aspects such as connected, cooperative, and automated mobility, safety aspects in mobility, and multimodal transport. On the bottom of the slide, you have the link to this work program 2023-2024 for Cluster 5. Again, this is really the main document to which you should always refer when you want to have all relevant information for one specific topic. So it's quite a big document. This is why today I will show you a few topics which are relevant for you. But if they sound interesting, please refer to the work program. Here is just to give you a broad idea about the deadlines. So as you can see, for Cluster 5, you have many different deadlines, meaning if you miss the first deadlines, it's not too bad, because you will have other opportunities to apply to EU funding. The first deadlines close in March and April 2023. It's very soon. So obviously it would be maybe hard to get ready for these deadlines, but you will have more opportunities in September and October 2023, and then other ones in 2024. So now about the topics which target international cooperation. I selected the topics which are relevant for Africa and the African Union and for the Mediterranean region. Since obviously we are talking about Mediterranean region today, but many countries from the Mediterranean region are also part of Africa and are targeted more specifically by these topics. Also, you have two different kind of topics for international cooperation. You have some topics where international cooperation is required, and for Cluster 5, you have 3 topics where it's a case. So for these topics, in addition to the basic eligible criteria, which are 3 different entities from 3 member states of the European Union, or states that are associated to the program. Additionally to this basic criteria, consortia will have to add partners from Africa or from the African Union to be eligible for EU funding. So this is for the topics where international cooperation is required. And now the topics where international cooperation is encouraged. In this case, the European Commission leaves the door open. It's not mandatory to include partners from these regions. However, it would be highly appreciated if partners from the Mediterranean region, Africa, etc., are included in consortia. And obviously during the evaluation, it will be assessed because they will assess the quality of the consortium and the international aspect of it will be evaluated in this case. As you can see, I highlighted 5 topics which specifically target the Mediterranean region. Again, it doesn't mean that you are only eligible for these 5 topics, but these topics consider the participation of entities from the Mediterranean region as very important. So very quickly to go into more details about these topics. So the first topic is what we call a research and innovation action, RIA. And because the question was raised a little bit earlier, what is the difference between RNA and IA? It's about the maturity of the technology that will be developed in the project. So RNA, the maturity of the technology is lower. It's more about the validation of the technology in a real environment. While for IA, the maturity of the technology is higher, so we will target a demonstration of a prototype in an operational environment. So this is a main difference between the type of actions. So as I was saying, the first action is RNA, and it's about technologies for sustainable, cost-effective, low carbon footprint downstream processing and production of battery materials. So here, this course covers research and innovation activities focused on improving the production, refining, and recovery of metals and battery materials, while minimizing the environmental impact of downstream processing. So this is part of destination 2 linked to batteries. Now the second one, which is in destination 3 linked to renewable energy, is the IA. So the maturity of the technology at the end of the project should be higher, and it's about solar systems for industrial process heat and power. So here this call will focus on the most energy intensive manufacturing industries such as food and paper, which of course require a lot of heat, and for which solar thermal and photovoltaics can be an effective way to achieve decarbonization. Here, for these 2 first projects, the deadline is very close in March and April 2023. For the 3 other calls, the deadline will be in 2024, so you will have more time. So the third topic, which is in the subchapter related to energy systems, grid and storage, and which is RNA. It's really about developing and developing the power system of a future pan-European architecture of hybrid AC/DC systems, including the offshore grid and energy islands, and at different voltage levels. The fourth cause linked to renewable energy again, which is an IA, is about supporting the growth of PV in domestic and commercial systems in order to foster the creation of energy communities. So here we will look for actively engaging citizens and communities in the transition to clean energy, including through the adoption of an energy cooperative and the development of decentralized platform. And the last topic, now it's the CSA. So the CSA is not focusing on research innovation. It's more, it's called a coordination and support action. So as it's called, it will focus on developing policy briefs, research and innovation agenda, helping policymakers to understand what are the needs, etc. So it's really actions that support and coordinate. And for this one, which closed in September 2024, it's about enhancing the sustainability of photovoltaic electricity production while creating additional wealth and employment in Europe. And now just this last slide, just to give you an idea. You said you will have the slides, so you will be able to come back to them in more details. Here, it's a list of topics where international cooperation is also encouraged, but there is no specification about geographical indication in the topic. So it's really open to the world. And obviously, it's also topics where the countries from the Mediterranean region can participate and are encouraged to participate. I'll try to remain brief, but do not hesitate to ask me any questions right now or to contact me per my email address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Thank you for this very comprehensive presentation as well. And let me give the floor now to our colleague. I don't see connected. Maria. Hello. Perfect.
Good
Please,
morning.
Maria João Fernandes from Portugal. I give you the floor.
I'm sharing my screen. Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yep, you're right. Okay.
Thank you.
So, good morning. Thank you for this invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I work for the Innovation Agency in Portugal, mainly dealing with international programs, and in particular with Horizon Europe, where I'm NCP and the national delegate for Cluster 6. And Cluster 6 is a cluster with a huge name, so dealing with the food, environment, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, environment. It includes also the inland and waters and sea. So with the objective of managing the natural resources through the transformation of the economy and the society in either in urban and rural areas, and trying to ensure the food security all over the world. So tackling also the agriculture, fishery, aquaculture, forestry. So a huge number of activities. So is the cluster 6. So in the top-down approach. So it means that the work program has a list of topics to which the applicant should apply and reply when submitting a proposal. With a total budget of 9 billion euros for all over the duration of the work program, in which a list of 7 intervention areas were identified, from environmental observation, biodiversity, agriculture, forestry, and rural areas, sea, oceans, and inland waters, food systems, bio-based innovation systems in the EU bioeconomy, and circular systems. So this was for the duration of 7 years. As for the preparation of the current work program, which stands for 2 years, they came from strategic plan that was prepared for 4 years, in which a list of 6 impacts were identified and that were reflected in the annual work program. So in this work program, you can identify the 7 destinations. Destination is a package of activities. And I thought they are easily identifiable by some keywords. Here, the program is very cross-cutting, and so really to identify the topic of interest, you have to go directly to look for keywords. So if it's not obvious where you identify, it's a huge work program with almost 600 pages. But you can, is a PDF available in PDF, so you can really identify your doing this search. You can do it either directly in this PDF or directly also in the funding and tenders portal. And in this way, you can also find not only topics that are relevant in these areas in cluster 6, because you can also find, for instance, the digital topics for agriculture you can find in other areas. So these are the deadlines. They are much easier compared to the cluster 5 because the dates are quite simple. So the calls were opened end of the year, last year, and now we have deadlines already in March and April according to the different destinations. But there are some topics that are in 2-stage evaluation. That's why we have here two dates, one in March, one in September. 2-stage means that you submit an outline proposal, 10 pages, and only those that they pass the evaluation criteria of excellence and impact will be invited to submit a full proposal with more pages, 45 for RIA and 30 for CSAs. And if you don't find a call or you think that there is not enough time to submit now, the topics are already published, but the calls are not open. The calls will open by the end of the year in October, and then the deadline will be again February and September. So very easy to memorize. Another thing that is important to know about these two-stage deadlines is that the first stage is going to be evaluated in blind. So it means that you cannot disclose the participants, and the evaluators will evaluate the proposal without knowing who are the entities involved in the proposal. So this is an eligibility criteria. So you have to pay attention to this for these topics that are in two-stage, and some of them are under this initiative. So as you can see, this slide was already shown. The majority of the topics calling for international cooperation are indeed under cluster 6. And some of them are under this umbrella of the Mediterranean initiatives. Although it's not explicitly mentioned in topics text, you should put the frame when you prepare the proposals for these topics under this. And in cluster 6, there's even a destination, under one destination, the destination food, the second destination, which is calling, there's a heading dealing specifically with international cooperation, and in this work program specifically with Africa. So these topics for the under the umbrella of the Mediterranean initiative are very easily identifiable. So you just have to go to the funding attendance portal and you look for the quick search on specific priorities. There's one for the Mediterranean, there's one for Africa, so you can find all the list, and then you directly see the topics that are seen. So you can see 23 are under cluster 6 and 2 in the one mission, which is a new instruments under cluster under Horizon Europe, which these two missions are specifically connected with this cluster 6. So these are the 7 destinations in cluster 6, and you see that in the 5 of them, they are topics dealing with this Mediterranean initiative, and the ones that you can see also in this slide. So in this slide, you can see that the majority of the topics are RIA, Research and Innovation Actions. There are 2 innovation actions, and there are 3 coordination and support actions. So a total of 14 topics in the work program 2023. As I call your attention to the topics under this Africa focus, and these topics that are the topics number 17, 18, 19, and 20. These topics focus mainly on food and nutrition security, agroecological food products, and food safety. So mainly related to food. And you must include African partners. So in some topics 3, some topics 5, African entities, and you are penalized. So the consortium is penalized if they not include. So this is an eligibility criteria, and this is mandatory to have. To all the others, it's mentioned just encouragement, so you don't have really to have international cooperation. But since they are highlighted as being under this initiative, it's very much recommended to have some Mediterranean partners involved. So they are very interesting topics. I just highlight some related to emerging pollutants in marine environments, plastic package pollution related to food systems, and alternative water resources supply systems and technology. So all these topics are very interesting for the Mediterranean area. Under the work program 2024, there are only some 8 topics for RIA, 3 integration actions, 1 coordination and support actions, mainly related to biodiversity, agroforestry management, climate impact on fisheries and aquaculture. They are still under forthcoming because they are published but not open for submission. But anyway, you can see what they are about. You can start preparing because the templates are available. You can start having a look and getting familiar how to submit a proposal to this. I have to call attention, so besides these 2 stages procedure in 2 of these topics, there are some topics either in 2023 or 2024 called for this multi-actor approach, which is also an eligibility criteria. And this mainly means that the project should involve should ensure a genuine involvement of all kinds of actors along the project. So mainly those actors that are are going to benefit from the results of the project should be involved from the beginning, from the concept, from the development of the project until the final use of the results. So not appearing just at the final as final users, because this is going to be evaluated. So you should really show this during the preparation of proposal, that are this genuine involvement in the project. There are two topics that are related to this new instrument, that is a new way to deliver practical solutions to some great challenge we are facing. And we have to have clear goals still to deliver results by 2030 with clear results. So the objective of the missions are to pull the necessary results in terms of funding programs, policies and regulations, as well as other activities. So not involving only research and innovation, but also other kind of activities that can benefit the citizens. Two of the topics that are under this, which is a separate work program, one deals is a joint topic between the ocean mission and the soil mission, dealing with demonstration approaches of solutions to address nutrient pollution in the landscape river sea system in the Mediterranean Sea basin. And the other one in the soil mission deals with combat the desertification. So these are another work program. The deadline is on the 20th of September for both topics, but you can find either in the funding attendance portal or in the work program. In the work program, I also would like to call your attention to it's very important to read not only the topic text, but also the introduction of the work program, either in the individual work program or the full introduction and also the annexes. They are information in all these parts of the work program. We understand that this is a lot of information, especially for newcomers, but you start learning by participation. There's lots of material available. I just highlight here some material from the events that were organized by the European Commission and the network of NCPs. So specifically for the topics on cluster 6 on the missions, there is a platform where you can find the participants' profile, which is visible still, and you can try address these participants showing interest in specific topics directly. So this is a benefit. In this slide, I just wanted to highlight the process. So the process starts with an ambition, an innovative idea, and then you look to the work program. So it's very important to read all the guidelines, to follow the templates, to analyze properly the topic text, check what is required in terms of knowledge, expertise in order to build your consortium. There are several platforms where you can find partners, including in the funding and tenders portal. So in each topic page, you can either submit your interest in the topic, or you can see who already expressed his interest, either looking for a consortium or a coordinated looking for partners. It's also important, and it's also available in the portal, the evaluation criteria. So it's important to see how your proposal is going to be evaluated. And you can register yourself also as an evaluator. So in the same portal, there's a way. So if you don't intend to submit a proposal, you get the experience acting as evaluator in this program. Finally, the submission and the management of the proposal is also on the funding and tenders portal. It's very important to follow all the eligibility criteria and follow the deadline. The deadline is Brussels time. You can submit your proposal before and you should before the deadline, because each time the last version is the one that counts, and don't leave to the last minute, because on the last day, sometimes the platform is blocked and it's a pity that you cannot submit your proposal. There's also lots of other material that is available in the Commission. I just highlight here a few trainings that were organized by the European Commission, and so you can easily find. So the slides will be available in the portal of this event, so you can easily have access to this. And there are some other. So take a look, take some time to have a look to this all this material. And finally, because this was already mentioned, so also in the funding and tenders portal, you can find the contacts of all national contact points from the third countries, from the member states, from associated countries. And so don't hesitate to see if your country has already a national contact point. You can address them in your own language, which facilitates a lot. But also to submit a program, you have to submit in English. But we are always available. We contact with us through our networks that are also, so me, Benjamin, for instance, we are in contact through a project. So don't hesitate to contact us. There's also lots of other material that is available from the online manual, so lots of guidance documents. So you have the NCP network, some events, the annotated model grant agreement, where you also can find examples and explanation on the cost preparation. There are info sessions and training, so like the ones I already show you, and the specific inquiry service, which is centralized by European Commission. The recommendation here is when you submit a question, please be as precise as possible to get also a precise reply. There's also an help desk for technical issues related to the use of the portal. So make use of all of these. And that's all from my side. Here are my contacts. So feel free to ask questions now or later on if you think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maria, for this presentation. Also very complete and detailed on cluster 6. And maybe I can proceed directly to the questions. I don't see in this moment. I ask Ahmed maybe to help me because before I got disconnected, but I don't see hands on at this moment. Okay, first one I see. Okay, perfect. Is Boubaker Fezzani. I give you directly the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thank Mrs. Maria for the presentation. I would like to ask this question to explain in detail about how to build a consortium and how to look for a partner from Europe in to make a project from cluster 6.
Okay, thank you for the question.
And
yeah. Thank you for the question. So recommendation when you are starting is that, so as I said, in each page of the topic, you can find, if you identified already a topic, you can find some partners looking for consortia or the opposite, coordinator looking for partners.
In the website.
In the website, yes, in the portal. So you can submit also
I find a partner who are looking on the same project as me.
Yeah, so you can start collaborating like this. You can also have a look for similar projects in the database of the Commission, which is called Cordish. So there are projects funded that you can see in this portal so the projects that were funded, which were the institutions involved, the kind of experience these institutions already have, and you can, so you should address them directly, presenting your profile, what is your expertise, in which you are interested. So also very focused without disclosing completely if you have already a good idea. So you have always to protect also your idea in terms of IPR issues. But this is the way you have to be proactive for this. And if you know someone already because you contact, I don't know from where you are coming from. Imagine you are from a research institution and you are already familiar and you collaborate with an institution in France or in Portugal, for instance, you express to this institution, to the person you are in contact with, you highlight, oh, I'm interested in this topic. Are you intending to participate to promote the proposal? And then you start collaborating. This is quite a lot of work to do before, but it's necessary. It's the way when you start, you always have to spend. And as I mentioned, you might not be successful on the first attempt, but you will be successful later on because we have lots of this kind of experience in our country that people start coming to a meeting like this, just knowing what is necessary. Oh, I have to read this, I have to study, I have to establish contacts, and then you one day you are successful. Sooner or later, don't worry. This happens.
It is necessary to find a partner from Europe or
yes. It's there's a minimum of participants from 3 member states or associated countries, and at least 1 must be member states. So 27 member states, a list of 16 or associated countries, of which Tunisia is already associated country, and others on the way too. But in some topics, it's mandatory, as I mentioned, to have African countries from different regions in Africa.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for this additional element. I don't know if Benjamin wanted to add something. Okay.
No, fine.
Okay, great. I don't see any other hands. I see in the chat, maybe Ahmed, can you screen in the chat if we have some question that can be responded by our intervenants?
Until now, no questions, but we can read if there is.
Okay. Okay. I've seen maybe one question here in the chat that I've seen was about the many people asking about the presentation, but we already mentioned that will be shared, and there is maybe one that I remember. Was for also EURAXESS that thanks Ahmed. Are there deadlines for this or inviting speakers? Maybe that was for you, Ahmed.
I think there is in relation with our events in March we will organize the first online practical workshop, how to draft a proposal in Horizon Europe. So we will publish all information on our website soon.
Okay, that's very, very essential actually. We also already organized a similar event back to our presentation of the Mediterranean initiative in Cairo. It was very appreciated indeed to have hands-on on many practical details that we also see often the question are related to. So I don't see any additional questions. Maybe I will take the chance to pass back the floor to Eba for some little conclusions about the initiative, the Mediterranean initiative. And from my side, I just would like to thank you one more for participating to such events. To remain tuned with all the opportunities indeed with their access in our websites, and really to engage in the participation as mentioned by our intervenants. This process is not of course an improvised process. Horizon Europe is very complex program and competitive, but there are many resources that can be used in order to be able to engage into that. And as mentioned by Maria, I like it very much. Just start with trying and with engaging, and then it will come. So please, Eva, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alessandro. I'd like to reiterate our thanks to our speakers and our participants. Thank you very much, and we hope the info day was useful, and you do get engaged in the program, in the Mediterranean Initiative, the Africa Initiative, and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day, and see you soon.